So basically this is a stat just to kind of keep in your mind as we go forward through the presentation. And I also will introduce what Fourth Story does and then kind of open it up to what I think other businesses around the web are doing. So Fourth Story Media, the grown-up explanation of what we do is that we're a publishing and media studio that develops original intellectual property for kids and tweens that lives across multiple platforms. Stand up and slime me, I have to stand up. Hello, I'm standing up. And the shorter version of what we do, which is the version that I like better, is that we tell stories. That's essentially what our business is telling stories. So if you go to the next slide, the first property or story that we're developing is the Amanda Project. And the Amanda Project is a story about a girl named Amanda, who's a 14-year-old girl, and she goes missing, and her friends come together and they try to find her. So it's told across an 8-book series that's being published by HarperCollins, and a website where you can log on and actually become a character yourself and start writing in the voice of your character and commenting on the stories that we're posting on the site, and then we will integrate your stories back into both into the stories on the website, and they'll eventually make their way back into the book. Mobile clues and updates, you can receive text from the characters, talk to the characters, and music and merch. So you can listen to the music the characters are listening to, buy an Endeavor High sweatshirt, etc. If you go to the next slide, this is, right now we're in beta testing with about 125 girls, age 13 to 17. And you can do tons of stuff on the site. You can shop, you can upload your own art, you can write, but the core is really the Our Stories section. And what the Our Stories section is that every week the main characters post a story. This is one where a week before, another girl who was just a girl on the site said she heard a rumor that the janitor keeps these notes that he binds in his closet, so we sent a character out to find these notes. And if you click forward, at the bottom after you read this story, you see in pink there a large call to action. And we have a call to action on every story, and the call to action here is, can anyone claim these notes? Are these your notes? Are they someone you know? You can see one girl writes back right after, and she's like, oh my god, the blue note is the boy that I like don't tell anyone, and they all come up with these different stories. And we think that this call to action is a really, really essential part of organizing user-generated content, because we wanted to find a way that we had a cohesive narrative that was a strong fictional world, but that we also wanted to invite girls to come in and participate in that without losing that the good narrative. You know, we didn't want to kind of open it up into this free-for-all. So if you take a look at different calls to action around the web, there's tons of sites that are doing this. The first one, there's two types, I would say. And the first is project-based. So you have sites like Boom, which is an awesome art community that has projects every month. This one is, if you take a magazine cover, they ask people to either draw on it or put a collage on it and kind of upload theirs, and they created a gallery. And the next one is Learning to Love You More, which is a site that's been going on for 7 years. This time they asked people, they give different assignments. So this one was asking people to make a child's outfit in an adult size. They had one of take a picture of your parents kissing, like all sorts of interesting things. And people upload crazy stuff. Stuff on my cat. A fantastic site, if you don't know it, where people take pictures of their cats with stuff on it. And it's obviously a much lower barrier to entry than developing your own fictional stories, but fantastic. This is Post Secret, which was developed in 2005 by Frank Warren, where he asked people to anonymously mail a postcard with a secret on it that they've never told anyone. And this is just an example where you have a community that develops. There's 1 million people now that have mailed in their secrets. And it became this is a random one, but it became this amazing support group and community because you had people that didn't know one another, and yet they were sharing like the most intimate things about themselves. So if you go to the next slide. And the second one that I'm seeing is more category-based. So rather than having a specific site like the Amanda Project asks you for a specific thing, if you look at sites like Twitter or Flickr, you have like this large scale, like everyone's kind of dumping in all sorts of content there, and then they're tagging it in different ways. And those tags actually are what end up defining the content and creating these kind of pools. So this is FML and MLIA and GMH. MLIA is My Life is Average. GMH is Gives Me Hope. And FML, Ask Your Children, because I will not say it in polite company. But you basically, this almost curates these galleries around feelings. So like My Life is Average, this one is about a girl who's waiting next to someone else at a bus stop, and she feels awkward, so she pretends like someone called her on the phone. But then you have hundreds of people writing these things in. And the next one is on Flickr. The image kind of equivalent to this is that you have these Flickr pools. This one is about people uploading pictures of their sketchbooks and tagging it pretty sketchy. I saw one the other day of someone with broken iPhone screens, and so everyone was uploading their iPhone screen that broke, but they don't feel like spending another $200, so they taped it up and put a picture of it. So what you'll see is, I think, more and more of is these niche communities. As more people are creating user-generated content, it's kind of being filtered into these niche communities that are gathering around a brand or a passion or a product or a tool or even a feeling. Next slide, please. And so I think that in the future we're going to be seeing brands and businesses facilitating and leveraging these communities in three major ways. The first is that they'll establish creative spaces online that encourage participation, like the Amanda Project, like some of those other sites we saw. This is one. Sharpie recently did this huge thing they talk about their Sharpie markers and give you tips and tricks about how to decorate your shoes, and you can upload your own kind of art stuff. To bringing the spirit of these online communities into the offline, and this is one that I find super interesting. This is a collaboration between Nike and Beautiful Losers, which was a big movie about the DIY culture and art scene in California, actually. And they went into inner cities and did workshops with kids where they basically taught them really cool art stuff, like how to build stuff out of cardboard or how to make a movie. Burger King has a huge art studio now in a skate park in Chicago. I think you'll see more and more brands kind of doing these things. And the last is that I think that you'll see increased partnerships and collaborations between all these different communities. So earlier this week, Daily Candy announced a partnership with Target, where Daily Candy editors are now kind of organizing and picking pics of Target content. And that's pretty much it.